Of people have started to gather at the Mary Fitzgerald Square in Johannesburg in the CBD to mark the International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people. Several political parties, including the ANC, EFF and AZAPO, together with pro-Palestinian groups, will march from the square to the Nelson Mandela Bridge, several kilometers away. The march takes place during a truce in the war between Israel and the Palestinian militant group Hamas. The last couple of days have seen Hamas releasing some hostages and Israel releasing some Palestinian prisoners. And lastly, Israel says it has received another list of potential hostages who may be released by Hamas today. This will be the sixth group to be released since the humanitarian truce began. Tal Heinrich is a spokesperson for the Israeli government.
We are notifying the families of the people who appear on the list and all other families of the hostages who are still being held in the Gaza Strip. Right now, we're talking about 173 hostages who are still there. And we certainly hope that we will see a sixth group of hostages leaving the Gaza Strip and returning home to Israel.
Recapping the top story this hour, the Northwest Premier Bushimape says he hopes those who are investigating the cause of an incident in which 11 mine workers died will also come up with safety recommendations. Headlines at 1:30 for SAFM News. I am Dino Mataung.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide.
A loving partner shouldn't take away your choices. Your choice of clothes, your choice to wear makeup and cut your hair. A loving partner shouldn't choose your friends or choose how you spend your time. A loving partner shouldn't control who you speak to. If your partner is controlling your choices, it's abuse. Get help now. Dial Tears *134 *7355# or visit tears.co.za. An SABC supported initiative.
Hello, Michelise. Hope you're well. Listen, I went to this car heaven place We Buy Cars with Henriette to sell the caravans and the jet skis she must now got from the divorce because she's never going onto the Vaal River again, she says. So We Buy Cars bought it from her for a great price. Nobody, you should tell your husband to sell all of those project cars and take you to the Maldives. Or just give them a call because they come to your house and then they buy your car somewhere so on the spot where they're so gerieflik.
We Buy Cars, the best place to sell your car by far.
Dressing up is a winning mentality.
If you look good, you do good.
You feel good too.
Big ups to Polo South Africa
for making the SABC Sport team look good during the Rugby World Cup France 2023. Class and style on another level.
Rendezvous.
Brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
I had it all, but I let it slip away. Couldn't see how to read it, you're wrong. Now I wander around, feeling down and cold, trying to believe that you're gone. Love takes time to heal when you're hurting so much. Couldn't see that I was blind to let you go. I can't escape the pain inside, 'cause love takes time. I don't wanna be here, I don't wanna be here alone. My mind from this hollow in my heart. Suddenly I'm so incomplete. endlessly. Oh, love takes time to heal when you're hurting so much. You can see that I was blind to let you go. I can't escape the pain inside, 'cause love takes time. And I don't wanna be here, I don't wanna be here alone. You might say that it's over, you might say that you don't care. Oh, you might say you don't miss me, you don't need me, but I know that you do, and I feel that you do inside. Oh, love takes time to heal when you're hurting so much. Couldn't see that I was so blind to let you go. I can't escape the pain inside, 'cause love takes time. I don't wanna be there, I don't wanna be there alone.
It is the sounds of Mariah Carey coming through with, of course, Love Takes Time. That is how we open up the show on this Wednesday afternoon. I hope that you've had a glorious start to your day thus far. That one coming from her self-titled album, Mariah Carey, which came out back in 1990. Probably one of her more seminal pieces of work. One of the world's most prolific singer-songwriters, and she was actually celebrated, honored this past weekend, if I'm not mistaken, as exactly that. One of the greatest songwriters to ever do it. It's just gone 10 past 1 o'clock on the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga. It's all a buzz here at SAFM as we get closer and closer to this evening's inaugural SAFM lecture with, of course, our guest keynote speaker being the former Chief Justice himself, Justice Moeng is going to be in the building. Exciting stuff. Apparently, it is sold out. It is completely sold out. We are not surprised at all. But you can catch it streaming live on all of our social media platforms if you don't have the opportunity to be joining us live in person. We've got lots of show coming up today. We take a look at the partnership between public-private entities in order to drive service delivery and social development, particularly in the townships. Also coming up today, on the back of some comments that the president made at one of the gatherings a couple of days ago, where he said that perhaps South Africans should be taking heed from the Chinese, and we should be more mindful of how we speak of our country, more mindful of how we market our country by way of the perception that we take out there to the world. We're going to be touching base with brand and reputation management expert Solly Moeng on that. And I wonder, from your perspective, what say you of the president's comments? You know, do you think that he of all people is correct and justified in telling us to mind our attitudes? Or do you think that perhaps he should understand why South Africans have a particular negative attitude about everything that happens
in and around the country. Let us know your thoughts on that one on 061-410-4107. That is our WhatsApp line. Or alternatively, you can give us a shout on 086 000 2032. And then, of course, on the other side of 2 o'clock, we are going to be looking at the legacy and, of course, importance of arts in activism with Gwen Ansell, who is a noted writer and researcher and associate of the Gordon Institute for Business Science. That's all coming up on the other side of 2. For now, though, let's take a quick break. 061-410-4107. Do you think the president is in a position to tell us as South Africans to mind our attitude and mind how we speak about the issues in the country? Or do you think that maybe he should just sit down? We're looking forward to hearing your thoughts on that one.
Arts, culture, and robust conversations with Bridget Masinga.
All right, first things first, we are going to be catching up with Precious Nala, who is an executive with the shared services at Riza Holdings. Now, a community development organization is calling for more public-private initiatives to improve basic service delivery that can lift communities out of poverty and, of course, restore the dignity to the lives of those who are disenfranchised, which is essentially the masses of South Africa. And we're catching up with Precious Nala now to shed a little bit more light on what this looks like, especially as a call to action. Good afternoon to you, Precious. How are you doing?
Good afternoon, Bridget. I'm good, and you?
I'm fantastic, thank you. Cannot complain. Let's talk about, improving basic service delivery. We know that we are plagued with major service delivery issues, particularly so in the township, which ultimately leads to local governments being under pressure. Perhaps let's start at the reason, at the beginning. And I guess there is a multitude of reasons why this is so. Let's explore one or two of those.
So, look, you're absolutely right. There's a multiple, of reasons why some of that is still a challenge to date. One of it comes to the lack of health services, quality health services, truthfully, within our township areas. Some of it comes to a lack of quality of education, especially from a young age, making sure that the young people are school ready. And when they obviously transition to the different developmental milestones, they're then at the peak of being able to adapt, at the different levels of educational input. But all of those are still a struggle. Like you would think in this year or this day and age, as a country, we would be ready to make sure that townships have got the same access to, let's call it, more of your other semi-urban or even urban regions. But they don't. They don't have access to all of those aspects. And they're still feeling the crunch and the pinch of everything that really happened to us. COVID came and gone, looting happened, the floods happened, and it's almost like how more can we give, or how much of a bigger burden can we give to these communities?
And I think that's the thing that one needs to be conscious of, right, is the fact that it's real communities are the ones that are having to deal with these compounded burdens on a day-to-day.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Precious?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. You can proceed.
Sorry, absolutely. Because again, we just think that communities have got these access. Let's use healthcare. I want to use healthcare as an example. How many local clinics are in, communities? But does anyone actually understand what the waiting time is if you're going to be using a public clinic? You can arrive there at 5 a.m. and still not get service, literally in the afternoon. And that's such a detriment to, people that are wanting healthcare services. Imagine a young mother, who's going there for whatever reason, either being immunizations for a child, or even just personal healthcare services for herself. And you've been queuing from 5 a.m, and then you get told at 3 o'clock that unfortunately the clinic is now closing and you have not even been provided a service. You now need to go back home. You probably used your last money for taxi, and now you have to go and think again how you're going to go get taxi money to go back to the same clinic tomorrow morning, early in the morning, to queue and hope that you're actually going to get service. So from our side as Reza, we look at all of those things, especially because we work in those type of communities. And we've kind of gone and identified 3 pillars, right, that we believe are quite critical for us as an organization to go and address. So one of those pillars is around education, one of them is around healthcare, and the other one is around agriculture. And you might think, but hold on a second, that's such a very separated from the first 2. But why is that important? Because again, we've seen that with COVID, if we don't train young people from an early age to kind of take on that stream of agriculture and actually get them to be the owners of their own produce and actually distribute, then we also have our shortfalling in terms of how we upskilling young people. But we've also got a food shortage in our country. So how do we identify and bridge that gap? So for us, those 3 pillars are really important to say we need to make sure that we actually improve the lives of those that don't have access to these adequate basic services.
And a part of your call to action is on greater involvement of the private sector in coming to the party and fighting and assisting bad service delivery. We often talk about these private-public partnerships, but they are essential in order for us to achieve those social development goals.
I think, in the past, there's always been this misperception that communities are only going to be helped by government. And we can see, earlier on you were speaking about the president. I won't start speaking to that conversation. But, government doesn't have the capacity to address all of these needs by themselves. So it is very important to look at that collaborative measure on how do we move towards private as well as public sector, to come together and work in this collaboration in addressing some of these needs that our communities are actually facing. So for me, collaboration, we saw it come together during COVID. There's absolutely no reason why as a country we can't come together, stand united and address some of these issues and better the lives of those in those communities. Imagine when someone leaves a community and moves into an urban area, you want to install that giving back system. So when they've also moved out, they need to remember how to give back. But it's really difficult when the only reason that people want to move out of communities is so that they don't face, the issue of poverty. But if they have not been given the opportunity to actually, almost give back, they walk out and they never give back, and they never actually go back to their own communities they grew up in to improve those. So public, civil, government, all those collaborations are really important to coming together and working towards one goal.
In fact, Reza Holdings' focus is on the better provision of public health care. And this is something that some political parties in the opposition have highlighted as the low-hanging fruit, in as far as if we can get the healthcare system functioning efficiently and optimally, we can eradicate half of the burden that we see in our societies today.
No, absolutely. Look, our strategy for each pillar is really unique because as much as we want to address the issues, we also want to make sure that we are looking at different ways to instilling, equipping, and, improving the lives of those that need help. If we look at education as an example, right, we want to make sure that we actually provide these facilitators or practitioners with some tools of being able to upskill themselves. And that can either be through blended financing tools or grant funding, through collaboration, whatever the case be. But we really want to make sure that they're able to support their initiative, especially around early childhood development, to improve those services for themselves. Also, if you look at the clinic, the healthcare aspect, we've got mobile clinics as well as a brick and mortar that's situated in Diepsloot that's providing primary healthcare services. But it's not just about providing that service. We want to make sure that our nurses and healthcare practitioners are also trained consistently in understanding what are the latest trends, especially in that industry, so that when they are providing that quality service back to the community members, it's not just another clinic that's, providing services, but proper healthcare quality, and also make sure that the turnaround time in providing those services is fast.
Absolutely. As we wrap it up, Some often say that the answer to all of this, which I guess is also what Riza is really pushing towards, is the collaboration and the tapping into the systems of the non-profit sector in communities, because they know what the issues are, they know what the solutions are, and tapping into those NPOs as a way of using them as a catalyst to propel and optimize on progress.
Absolutely. NGOs are the heart, truthfully, of understanding what the gaps are, what the ask is, where those important elements to actually add back into communities' lives. But like I said earlier on, they don't have the capacity. It's really important that we get government, corporate SA, and civil society to partner up with those NGOs so that they can ensure that they are putting people first. Even residents, truthfully, I always say we don't look at the local residents as part of the collaboration effort. And you always want to make sure that they are part of that journey, because you want to make sure that they are also embracing the people-focused initiatives that are critical to them in bettering their lives, but also that people are not always fighting, hunger, thirst, illness, even unemployment by themselves. They've got all these other great stakeholders coming together and helping them with those gaps.
Precious, I think you and I could talk forever and a day, but quick one as we say goodbye. Riza Holdings' goal to provide primary health care to 1 million people in townships and the rural areas?
It's our goal, absolutely. We want to make sure that we are able to do so. That's why we are partnering up ourselves with other corporates as well as other stakeholders to partner up with them in that journey, because it is a daunting task, but I believe we can make it. We're already on that journey. If we just look at our healthcare, services, in a year we see over 150,000 people. So I can give you all the other stats for all the other services, but I really am confident that as an organization we will be able to achieve that goal.
Fantastic. That was Precious Nala, who is the executive with Shared Services at Riza Holdings, bringing us to around 25 past 1 o'clock. So listen, our WhatsApp line is open on 061-410-4107. Feel free to utilize it. Let's take a quick break here and then I'll come back. We'll play you a clip from this morning with Stephen Grootes, and we'll tell you why we'd like your opinion on this particular discussion.
Open the Absa Cash Invest Tracker account and earn the best rates in the market, more than the top 10 money market funds' average returns. Enjoy unmatched advantages at an interest rate of 8.9% per annum. Plus, if you open your account today, you could win your share of 15 million rand in luxury travel experiences for two. Yes, you heard right. A trip for you and your partner. My Bank does that. Open yours today in less than 5 minutes on the banking app, at your nearest Absa branch, or consult your private banker or call 0860 111 515. Absa is an authorized FSP and a registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Have you ever noticed how unique the rugby ball is?
You should check out Head High.
The rise of junior rugby stars Mana and Tai.
Vince is not just their stepfather, he's their coach.
Catch the brothers' dream of the black jersey, Head High, every Sunday at 9 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com.
Rugby Drama Galore. Brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
This kind of message that we should be sort of less critical, that we should not badmouth our country. How do you think it's going to be received by voters?
No, I think they will receive it still with skepticism, because anyone who would be listening to that or hearing him would be wondering why people are really bad-mouthing the country. And if you were to fix the reasons for which they bad-mouth the country, that could stop this aspect of a negative sentiment. On the very critical aspect is to see why people in China do not badmouth the country, because it is not necessarily a voluntary thing. It's either a domineering state or there's a deep civic culture that has been embedded over thousands of years. to really create a people that are compliant in that country. So it is a complicated program that he's asking for when government is not making an effort to implement it or to encourage that culture.
I get the sense, and I realize that SAFM and talk radio is not, and English language talk radio is not the whole country. I mean, it's a small percentage of it. But from people who phone into us, and if you listen to our voice note statement, people are really, I think they feel that their lives, our lives, have got worse over the last few years, last 5 years maybe. People are really worried about the future. They're worried about their future. They're worried about their children's future. There's also the sense that I get time and time again is a sense of anger at government, often anger at the ANC. Do you think President Ramaphosa understands that?
It seems to be someone who creates the impression that he doesn't understand. This is why there is that a joke about him that whenever he sees anything going wrong in the country, he's always shocked. Oh, I'm shocked to see this. I'm shocked to hear this. It creates a government, or even himself, yes, as head of government, who's distant and who's unsympathetic to the appeals of the people. Like what he's saying, to say, don't complain, but really not appreciating the deteriorating socioeconomic conditions. Because here he is proposing, don't speak as if maladministration is not happening, says don't complain as though there is no corruption happening. And these are the critical material elements that make people to complain at first. He's not responding to those issues and saying what government is intending to do or is actually doing to help to facilitate a positive climate in the country.
Do you think the comments are going to stop people being so critical of his government? I mean, it's a sort of national sport, and I mean, perhaps unfairly for him, perhaps. But I mean, do you think it's going to stop people being so critical and so publicly critical? It's become almost, I mean, it's unfortunate. I think it's horrible, but it's become almost what we South Africans do.
Definitely, people will not stop speaking, because when you look at this concept of patriotism he's asking for, its purpose is to justify and to maintain political rule. But when people start speaking, it means the political rule is not really coherent. You are not winning support among your masses. Then the other aspect is a sense of pride. You are patriotic because you are proud of your country. Some people are willing to sacrifice their lives for their country. That's why others go into military.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide.
With the headlines at 1:30, I am Dino Mutaung. Good afternoon. Parliament's Police Portfolio Committee has adopted its report on the Independent Police Investigative Directorate Amendment Bill. In other news, the Northwest Premier, Pushimape, says he hopes those who are investigating the cause of an incident in which 11 mine workers died will also come up with safety recommendations. And scores of people have started to gather at the Mary Fitzgerald Square in the Johannesburg CBD to mark the International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
And that was the clip from a quick conversation this morning with Stephen Krutis speaking to political analyst Sneeman Mutlong around President Cyril Ramaphosa's comments, where he said that South Africans must stop bad-mouthing the country and that we should be more like the Chinese and that we need to be patriotic. So my question for you today really is a very simple one. You know, given the sentiment on the streets, given the sentiment and the feelings that you and I share around this, should the president, or is the president the right person to be talking to us about patriotism? Is he the right person to be telling us to, quote unquote, watch our attitudes and be more positive? Do you agree or don't you agree? 061-410-4107. We thought we'd take it on a slightly different direction with a brand and reputation management expert, Solly Mueng, this afternoon and talk around just, brand perception. Solly, good afternoon to you. Setting aside the issues that we know that we have, load shedding and rand manipulation, and so the laundry list of things goes on. Brand perception is a very real commodity. And at times, we forget this, I think, if we get stuck in the narrative of negativity and darkness. Are we still waiting on Solly? Oh, we are still waiting on Solly. So I wonder, 061-410-4107, that is our WhatsApp line. Share your thoughts today. Do you think that we should perhaps change our attitudes as South Africans, be a bit more positive, speak more positively about our country and around our country, in order to maybe change the perception, to balance the narrative of South Africa and our lived experience. We had at Selima Jo on Twitter, who says, I think the president knows that a lived experience is more powerful than a told narrative. If we are well governed, we would portray the country in a good light without being told. The biggest room on earth is the room for improvement. There's definitely always room for improvement on that. 061-410-4107. That is our WhatsApp line if you'd like to weigh through on your opinion, or 086-000-2032.
Hello, Radio South Africa. Our president is living in a glass house. I'm not surprised. Covered by bodyguards, medical aid, everything sophisticated, security is tight. We are living in a ghetto, in a mud, in Danjon. So they say we must never cry, we must be patriotic. So I think that statement reminds me of the people before he departed to our God. Let his soul rest in peace, that black men, we are on our own. Really, we are on our own. Especially those who are living in a mud, on the street, in the ghetto, in an open space. Submission, WP Rams Limpopo.
Bongosi out in Cape Town.
Hi, Bridget, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I'm good.
Yes.
Look, with me, it depends where I am, Bridget. I mean, when I'm traveling overseas, as a patriot, it is an opportunity for me to sell my country to people who've never been to South Africa. But when I'm in South Africa, there's really, it's very difficult to find anything positive to speak about, especially under Cyril Ramaphosa. Everything that should be going up is going down, and everything that should be going down is going up. I mean, if you look at the load shedding that you're experiencing now, it happened immediately after he took over. People must remember that 2016 and 2017 there was no load shedding. He became the ANC president in 2017. 2018 he became the president of South Africa, and load shedding started. And it's been getting worse ever since. I mean, I'm not going to talk about unemployment, crime.
Let me ask you this, Mongosi. Let me sort of bring our points to a more centered conversation, right? Because I don't want us to derail about the issues that we have as South Africans, because I think we know the issues that we have. I think your point at the beginning was one that made me sit up, right? Because you said when you're outside of South African borders, you're very patriotic. You put the best foot of South Africa first. But you don't badmouth South Africa. You're conscious about how you move as a South African through the world and what you represent of your country. But when you're inside South Africa, internally, that shifts a little bit. Why would it not serve us sometimes also to say, okay, yeah, sure, we understand we have all these issues, but maybe let's look on the positive, or maybe let's try to find the solution, or maybe let's count our blessings as South Africans. Yes, things are going wrong, but there's so many other things that we should be happy and thankful for, including the fact that we know things are going wrong because we know that things can be right, because we've been there before.
But Bridget, I mean, I know you are the one who's asking questions. I can hardly find anything that is going in the right direction. I mean, in all honesty and fairness, You know, when President Ramaphosa took over the presidency, he portrayed himself as someone who's Mr. Clean, who had the high moral ground, who was coming to clean up the mess created by his predecessor. Now, I can tell you that Zuma was much better than Ramaphosa without any contradiction.
Okay.
Because look, Bridget, it's one thing for someone to take over the mess, and you can see that he's moving from point A to point B. Yes, he's not there, but he's moving in a positive direction. But things are moving backwards now.
No, I got you. I got your point, Bonkosi. Is it Chucks? Oh, Chucks?
Yes, Chucks. Chucks from Mukake.
How are you?
Hello, Bridget. Good, thanks, and you?
Good, brother. Go ahead.
Yes, Bridget, in some part, I want to agree whereby when the president says we must not speak bad about our country, because me, myself, from my point of view, I see it having a negative impact. I will just make an example of illegal foreigners, where, like, let's say in social media, we speak as much as we want about crime which is being committed by foreigners. When you are in South Africa living with them, the crime is not as it is being portrayed in a social media, but someone who's outside South Africa looking at it, just a small incident which happened, maybe you find out somebody was selling drugs, was caught, then he was maybe assaulted by the community. It will look like as if all foreigners outside, like all the people from outside South Africa, they will see it as if all foreigners are being treated bad by only one incident which happens once in a while. It's how outside people see it outside South Africa.
Okay.
As I say, sometimes when we speak negative about our country, it gives a bad image in people who are outside our country, including investors.
I think point well made there, Chucks. Absolutely get it. We got Anonymous who says that we don't know if the Chinese are patriotic or not because their social media is heavily censored. And I think that was the point also to some degree that Stephen's guest was making. But your opinions are still very much valid. Feel free to send through more of your voice notes on that one. 061-410-4107. Do you think perhaps as South Africans we need to be a bit more mindful of the things that we say about our country in and outside of our borders? Should we be a little bit more positive and patriotic in how we position the country regardless of everything that's going on? As President Ramaphosa said a couple of days ago, that South Africans must stop bad-mouthing their country and that we should be more like the Chinese. Or do you think perhaps, as some of our callers have said, that maybe coming from the president, it's, it's delusional coming from him? If someone else had said it, it might resonate, but because he said it, perhaps it's leaving you a bit ruffled. Feel free to share. Let's take a quick break here, and then we come back on the other side of this and get into Made in SA.
Rand Water is concerned about the significant increase of water consumption in its areas of supply. The increase in water consumption is putting severe strain on Rand Water's distribution network. To save water, please do not wash your cars with hose pipes. Use buckets. Water your garden with sprinklers between sunset and sunrise. Do not wash your pavements with hose pipes. Use brooms. Repair your leaking taps. Cover your swimming pools to avoid quick evaporation. Shower instead of bathing in a tub.
This message is sponsored by Rand Water in partnership with City of Joburg, City of Ekurhuleni, and City of Tshwane.
The beauty, power, elegance and speed of horse racing.
The passion at the heart of horse racing diligence.
Where these magnificent creatures and their skilled jockeys compete for glory.
Racing today.
Catch it live on Mondays to Fridays on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com.
Hashtag Horses of Great Character. Brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
You are listening to The Full Circle.
It is the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga, on SAFM, leading the conversation. And right now, our guest, Tepiso Mahabo, is with me. She is the founder of Tulwana Teas, and she brought a beautifully packaged gift for us for Christmas. How stunning in a world of presentation meaning everything. Let's find out more about her in Made in SA.
Made in SA with Bridget Masinga.
Miss Tippy, so how are you?
I'm nervous.
Oh no, don't be nervous. Don't be nervous. Okay, let's talk about you. You are a marketing graduate.
Yes, I am.
You established Tulwana Teas back in 2017.
Yes.
What was the circumstance around that? Did you always want to do your own thing?
All I know is that I always wanted to leave a legacy for my daughter. So when I gave birth in 2016 to Tulwana.
It's named after
so that's
her.
where, yes, that's where the inspiration comes from. I mean, we live in a world whereby, you're always working for people. So I think almost in everything, and this is what my mother has always tried to do as well, is just make sure that your generation does better than the previous one, to make it easier, So the same way that my grandmother made things easier for my mother has made things easier for me. And I'm even going to make things even better for my daughter, Tulwana.
I love that story. So was tea part of your heritage, part of your childhood memories? Why tea?
I love tea. I don't drink coffee. My heart skips like crazy. But I always thought of what is it that I can do that I'm passionate about, and I've always loved tea. My daughter loves tea, so it was a thing of I wanted to have like tea on the shelves. But then I was like, what could I do to actually lead to that direction? And a friend of mine helped me out with like a startup of like 500 Rand, and I literally went to like the nearby shops, and I was like, okay, you know what? Salt is like very like medicinal in a way, therapeutic, and then tea. Let me fuse those two together and see what comes out of that. And boom, Tulwana Teas. So it's just all in aid of creating tea-infused products. So it's not just the bath salts, but I also make body scrubs and also honey and tea sweets.
All right, so it's moved on from tea now to other products that could incorporate tea ingredients into them, more holistic products.
Yes, correct.
Okay. I love how so a 500 Rand investment from a friend. I hope the friend has gotten their return on investment back.
No, she definitely did. A whole lot of them did, because I think it took a community to actually uplift this brand of mine.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just the 500 Rand here, the 100 Rand here, but then it was also like someone saying, come, I'll fix your page for you. Come, I will do this for you. Because I've always believed that it's not just you, but then it's like we, like as Black people, basically. Yes.
Absolutely. I love the story and I love the community behind it as well. So, Tulwana, what does it translate to? It's a Sotho name.
Yes.
Meaning?
It means fruit. So, Tulwana is basically the fruit of my womb.
Oh, beautiful name.
Deeper, right?
Yes. Beautiful name for your daughter, and also beautiful name to encapsulate this journey that you are with your product, your other baby.
Yes.
Oh, I love it. Okay, now in the years since you've started this, it's been a few years from 2017 to now. So you've been in the game for what 5 years now, give or take COVID here or there. How's the journey been for you as a businesswoman, trying to find your space in a very competitive arena?
Sure, it's like you said, that it's very competitive. Firstly, I think being a woman, it's like even harder, and I don't know if I can say this, but as a Black woman, you're actually at the bottom of the barrel. It's been a very hard journey, and I've been wanting to full on go into entrepreneurship, But because of hard times, and obviously, I mean, you need to eat. Your daughter also needs to eat. Your family needs to, like eat. So you end up being in between, like, do I go back to a 9 to 5? Do I go back into actually full time doing this? It's very competitive because you're competing with products that are like in Woolworths, like a whole shelf that's at Clicks, a whole shelf that is at Discam, and people don't understand. I mean, someone might see that, oh, you posted that you're on SAFM, oh, you posted that you're on Alex FM, we see that you're doing good, but then it's actually deeper than that, because sometimes you actually don't feel like waking up. Sometimes you're thinking, oh, was it actually worth it for me to actually start this? But I think when you get invited to such a platform, and I know it's nationwide, then it gives you like the greatest joy.
Then what makes you get up and keep doing it? By the way, you're not on your own. We had David Klein here, who's been in the business for well over 20-something years, and he was saying that there are moments, and there have been moments in recent years where even he's looked and went, well, why are we doing this?
My daughter. My daughter keeps me going. I know that I had let go of the business for a bit, and the day she found me actually mixing it up, because we mix up together at home, she was so excited. She's like, Mommy, we're back in business. I'm going to open my spa treatment, because whenever people come over, like, she's very like, are you going to buy? Where's your money? Okay, sit down. Let me put some water for you so that I can soak your feet. So she's very much invested in it as much as I am. So if I'm going to actually let myself down, it's not just me letting myself down, but I'll also be letting herself down. Yes, go to school and everything like that, but I want her to have like more options than I actually ever had.
And what I love is already she is understanding the concept of building something. So you're instilling so much more in her now at this young age. Definitely keep going, Mama.
Yeah, it's so like she'll even come up to me and say, Mommy, this is what I want to do, and she'll even put a list, like simple thing as she wants to host a party, but she knows that, oh, okay, I need a guest list. I need food, so I'm going to put there hot dogs, desserts, and whatnot. Mommy, I need cups. I might need umbrellas outside. So, I mean, at the age of 7, like, she's so brilliant. And, like, I'm so glad to have been part of that process. And, like, I've been so blessed to actually be a mom to her.
She gets it all from you, Mommy. Now, for anybody that wants to, have a look at your product, it's absolutely incredible. Tulane, where do we go?
On Instagram, it's Tulana_teas on Instagram, so you're more than welcome to DM me. I'm available also on LinkedIn, it's Tulana Teas. On Facebook, I'm Tulana Teas, and then you can also just reach out to me by WhatsApp, 074-589-1431.
It is Christmas. Do you corporate gifts?
Yes, so I do everything. So my whole point, it's not just even about corporate gifting. So you can see this lovely package here. So every Christmas, I make a package according to like the theme. So if it's going to be Mother's Day, I make it according to that. But my whole thing is that don't just gift people, because once they use it, then they've kind of forgotten about it. But I want it to be an everyday product that when it runs out, like your lotion does, you're actually able to stock it up from like your nearest shops.
Yeah. We're going to watch the growth of this one. Tulana Teas, you can find her on Instagram at Tulana_teas. And of course, you can search Tulana Teas at all of your social media platforms. That is Tsepiso Mahabo joining me, founder of Tulana. And of course, she's building this for her daughter. So let's go out there and support this great vision. Kids Corner is coming right up.
SAFM invites you to tune in for our inaugural public lecture, delivered by the former Chief Justice Mogoeng Mogoeng.
This is an opportunity to use this privilege for the advancement of the cause of justice, because there is so much more that still needs to be done out there.
The theme for the lecture is Constitutionalism and Upholding the Rule of Law in South Africa, as corruption and malfeasance eroded the moral fabric of the democratic disposition. The lecture will take place on the 29th of November 2023, broadcasted live on SAFM 104 to 107 FM, streaming on Facebook, X and YouTube channels from 7 p.m.
SAFM, leading the conversation.
Living your best life on the Full Circle.
The Portfolio Committee on Communications and Digital Technologies invites interested individuals and stakeholders to submit written comments on the SABC bill. The bill seeks to repeal the Broadcasting Act of 1999 to regulate the continued existence of the SABC, to provide for its governance, to amend the ICASA Act of 2000 and the Electronic Communications Act of 2005. For more information, contact the Portfolio Committee on Communications and Digital Technologies by emailing sabcbill@parliament.gov.za. The closing date for the written submissions is Friday, the 15th of December 2023 at 4:30 p.m.
This program is brought to you by SABC Education, enriching minds, enriching lives.
Hello, my name is Demir Madam, 10 years old, I'm in grade 4. Getting my end of year report scares me. Yes, I am looking forward to getting my end of year report. My mom gets my report and sees it first. When I get my report, I normally just get told how well I performed. I prefer to be given my report with a compliment, like you did well or don't worry. Yes, I do expect to get something from my parents or guardians when I have done well on my report.
Hello, my name is Buyhansa Tlaka and I am 12 years old. Getting my year-end school report scares me a little bit. Yes, I am looking forward to seeing my year-end report. My mom normally receives and sees my report first. We normally discuss my report as a family. I prefer to see my report with my own eyes. Yes, I do expect to get something from my parents when I have done well on my reports.
My name is Asanda Chabalala. I'm 11 years old from Ikon. I'm scared to get my end school report. Yes, I'm looking forward to receiving my report. My dad and mom normally receive my reports. My parents normally tell me how I performed. I prefer my teacher to send my reports on WhatsApp on the phone. No, I don't expect my parents to give me anything when I did well on my report.
Hello everyone, my name is Lorraine Moyo. I'm 11 years old and in grade 6. Getting my year-end reports is exciting because I get to see if I did well or if I did badly, and also to see if I'm going to grade 7. The person who receives my report first is my father, then my mother. We normally see if I improved in term 4 and if my marks are higher than in term 3. And then I am told how I performed. How I prefer being given my report is it's given to me with no red circles. Yes, I do expect to get something if I've done well during the year. To get my phone, because I only get my phone during holidays. I expect a present so that I can be motivated to keep working hard. But if I don't get anything, I keep improving my marks so that I can progress in life. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name and surname is Pegushim Pembe. I am 9 years old. I am excited to getting my school report soon. I cannot wait to go to grade 5. I am looking forward to receiving my year-end report from school. My mom and dad normally collect them for us. Our teachers give it to our parents only. I look at my report with my mom and we discuss it together. Sometimes we even set targets of what level to aim for next. I enjoy that because most times I get ice cream treats for our discussion. I am always expecting to get something when I've done well at school because when my parents are happy, they also make me happy. I love it. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. My name is Tori Asmana. Today, I'll be talking about if getting my final report scares me or excites me. Getting my final report or my year report actually scares me and excites me at the same time because I'm excited to see it, but also scared on the other hand. The person that normally receives my report first is my dad. I normally discuss my report and I'm not only told. I prefer being sent my report like always. I don't expect anything from my parents when I pass. If they decide to buy me something, then that's their decision. And I'm totally fine with it. Thank you very much for listening. Have a great day. Enjoy your day and goodbye.
My name's Kathleen and I'm 12 years old. Yes, I am excited of getting my end-year report. I'm looking forward to receiving it. My parents receive it at the same time, but my father sees it first. I normally do discuss my report with my parents so that I tell them that I need help with this and that so that they can help me or get me extra classes. I prefer the reports getting emailed to your parents. I do expect to get something when I get a good mark or do well on my reports.
My name is Rafrupera. I live in Bulukwane City. Getting my year-end report is kinda exciting because I can finally see if I am going to the next grade. Yes, I am looking forward to getting my report. I normally see my report first because I go and fetch it at school. Yes, I do discuss about my report. I refer my report being emailed to me or sent with a postal card. Yes, I do expect something from my parents when I do well on my report.
As the year-end report cards approach, it's like unwrapping a present filled with achievements and areas for growth. No matter the outcome, each one of you has embarked on a learning adventure, and that, my friends, is a triumph in itself. For those who will find a collection of A's and gold stars, congratulations! Your hard work and dedications have shone brightly. It's like a pat on the back from the learning universe, and you should be proud. Now, for those who may not see straight line of A's, that's absolutely okay. Learning is like a winding path with ups and downs. If this journey leads you to areas where improvement is needed, it's not a setback, but a stepping stone. It's like a compass guiding you toward areas where you can grow and shine even brighter in the future. Remember, your report card is just a snapshot, a moment in time. It's not a crystal ball defining your worth or potential. It's like a chapter in a book. There are many more waiting to be written.
This program was brought to you by SABC Education, enriching minds, enriching lives. Independent and impartial. This is SAFM News.
Top stories: Parliament adopts report on the IPID amendment bill and Northwest Premier calls for mine safety recommendations. Good afternoon. With the news, I am Dino Mutaung. Parliament's Police Portfolio Committee has adopted its report on the Independent Police Investigative Directorate Amendment Bill. The aim of the bill is to strengthen the independence of the Directorate, which includes the issue of the appointment of its Executive Director. The bill has been widely criticised because the appointment of the Executive Director still aligns with the Police Minister and Cabinet. In 2016, the Constitutional Court found that the Minister's removal of the then IPID head, Robert McBride, was unconstitutional. The chairperson of the committee, Albert Siabe, says they've had meaningful engagements.
Whether we were agreeing or not, but finally we arrived at some resolutions. We have checked whether those resolutions are well captured, and I didn't see any hand to raise an amendment. I will therefore call upon a proposal to adopt the bill as it is.
The Northwest Premier Bushimape says he hopes those who are investigating the cause of an incident in which 11 mine workers died will also come up with safety recommendations. The incident, as the workers died at the Impala Platinum Mine operation in Rustenburg, Northwest on Monday. President Cyril Ramaphosa is among those that have conveyed their condolences to the families of the deceased as well as mine management. The provincial head of communications, Brian Tsutswambung.
Premier Mape says he's hopeful that an investigation which is already underway will not only reveal the cause but will also put forward recommendations that will put an end to such unfortunate incidents. Mape also says he sympathizes with the mine management, colleagues, friends and families of the deceased mine workers because of the emotional trauma they are going through. He further says that he remains hopeful that the psychosocial support provided will yield the desired results.
And in other news, the South African Health Professionals Collaboration SAHPC supports universal health coverage. However, it says it opposes the NHI bill in its current form. The NHI bill seeks to provide universal access to healthcare in the country. The SAHPC spokesperson Klamas Makubele lists their concerns about the NHI bill.
Nobody can explain to you what is the budget for the NHI, and even if some numbers are being given out there, they don't know how we actually are going to fund the NHI. Number two, as a scheme, you need to be able to define what are the treatments that the population is going to get through the NHI. Thirdly, if this is about universal health coverage, how are we going to deal with the rural areas which have no facilities?
Meanwhile, Deputy Director General of National Health Insurance, Dr. Nicholas Crisp, has called the questions raised by the SAHPC as disingenuous.
One doesn't start off by writing that into a piece of legislation, because every year Parliament appropriates based on what Parliament has been provided by the National Treasury through the long budget process, which starts in July of every year. So the ultimate answer to the question is, how much money do we have, for which benefits are we able to provide at any point in time? And we have responded to all these questions before, more than once.
And lastly, the KwaZulu-Natal Transport Department says the new license numbering system for the province will take effect next month. The process will be in two phases. The first one will be the registration of new vehicles, while the second will integrate all vehicle owners migrating to the new numbering system. The department spokesperson is Kwanele Ngalani.
Starting from the 1st of December this week, we are going to be focusing on the first phase with the registration of new vehicles, which means when you are purchasing a car from the 1st of December, it's going to be registered and printed on the new number plate and new numbering system. Secondly, those who are changing vehicle ownership, it's going to be now migrating to the new system. Okay. Thirdly, it's going to be government vehicles. But the second phase will then be starting on the 1st of March, dealing with all vehicle owners in the province. They will be visiting all our registering authorities, where they will then be doing what we call voluntary migration.
Recapping the top story this hour, Parliament's Police Portfolio Committee has adopted its report on the Independent Police Investigative Directorate Amendment Bill. Headlines at 2:30 for SAFM News. I am Dino Mutaung.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide, leading the conversation.
November. So much no in November. Can we just squeeze this last job in? No. Feeling pumped, guys? No. Will we ever make it to December? No. It's November. So, we're charging no fees for 6 months when you sign up for a 10X retirement product in November. No fees, no drama, just results. Speak to a retirement expert today. 10X your future. 10X is a licensed FSP. T's and C's apply.
SV Darmstadt and FC Köln are both faced with the same dilemma. They are navigating a path to relocate from the uncomfortable zone. The Lilies want to impress home fans, but the Billygoats believe they can shine away from home. This is the Bundesliga. Football as it's meant to be. Catch the glittering clash between SV Darmstadt and FC Köln this Friday, 1 December at 9:30 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Hashtag We Love It Here. Brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
She said to me, go steady on me. Won't you tell me what the wise men said when they came down from heaven? Smoked 9 till 7, all the shit that they could find. But they couldn't escape from you, couldn't be free of you. And now they know there's no way out. And they're really sorry now for what they've done. There were 3 wise men just trying to have some sorry now they want to know they got caught up in your talent show with you panicked little bastards in your fancy dress who just judge each other and try to impress, but they couldn't escape from you, couldn't be free of you, and now they know there's no way out, and they're really sorry now for what they've done. There were three wise men just trying to have some fun. Look who's alone now, it's not me, it's not me. Those three wise men, they've got a Sammy by the sea. Gotta ask yourself the question, where are you now? Gotta ask yourself the question, where are you now?
It reached the top 50 spot in the UK and peaked quite beautifully following the success, by the way, of You're Beautiful. If I'm not mistaken, I think You're Beautiful was his breakout radio hit. And Goodbye My Lover, Wise Man sits right there for James Blunt as one of his top 5 most impactful and commercially successful top charting songs of all time by the British singer. Wise Man is the name of the song, and it comes from that album, Back to Bedlam, which probably, arguably, is his most seminal body of work to date. I don't know. Some people might agree, some might not agree, depending whether you're a fan or not a fan. That was James Blunt with Wise Man. That is how we kick off the second hour of the show. It has just gone 10 past 2 o'clock. Still to come in this hour, we are going to be chatting about all kinds of things, including celibacy and choosing celibacy as a way of improving your relationship. Whether you agree or don't agree, I don't know. I think that will depend on whether you're male or female for that particular discussion. But right now, though, we are going to be in conversation with a lady who needs absolutely no introduction. She is an institution of all things arts and culture in South Africa, a writer, a researcher, and associate of the Gordon Institute for Business Science. Auntie Gwen Ansell is joining me now to help us unpack the legacy of one great Nguli, who, by the way, I think like many South Africans, I was not aware of this name, of the contribution that he had to the arts and culture world, but more significantly to the conversation and the advancement of queer rights. And we're going to get into all of that with Auntie Gwen. Good afternoon to you, Auntie Gwen. How are you doing?
Good afternoon, Bridget, and good afternoon to your listeners. How are you?
I am fantastic. I'm absolutely fantastic. I think, we can never separate South Africa's struggle history in particular from the world of arts and culture and just this very significant role that artists and creatives played at that time in getting the message across, in the liberation struggle, and ultimately in what happened once the country got liberated?
That's certainly true. And it's basically because cultural work, all kinds of cultural work, are really about who we are. So they have to be part of political struggle.
Absolutely. And one such name that ashamedly I was nonchalant, unaware of the name Simon Nkuli. Tell me a bit about this, what reads to be a rather phenomenal cultural activist.
Okay, well, Simon Nkuli was born in Sebokeng. He developed his political consciousness at the same time that he developed his consciousness about his own gender identity. So for him, the two things were always intertwined. And what's really important about him is that he brought that identity into his work in the struggle, into his work with COSAS, as a community leader, as a community educator, and as a Delmas trialist.
What then happened, Auntie Gwen? What happened to this name, Simon Nkuli? Why did it, for lack of a better word, almost seems to be erased from the conversation around liberation and gay rights in the country?
I actually think it's something broader than that. I think our struggle history is taught not very well in schools. It's taught some seminal and really important figures like Tata Nelson Mandela. But the huge numbers of grassroots activists, people who led community self-defense units in the townships, people who campaigned for gender rights like both Simon Nkuli and Beverly Ditsey, for example, those people are not taught. We're taught about a few individual heroes rather than about the fact that the struggle was something that involved many, many people in communities in South Africa. It wouldn't have succeeded if it hadn't.
And, important point, and I love that you also bring up Beverly Ditsey. And I think, for me at least, Beverly's legacy and contribution is assisted by the fact that she's still very much active today. And she's managed to bridge generations, so to find the relevance with her generation that she grew up with, but also to anchor herself in the current youth, particularly the current LGBTQI plus youth of South Africa. And so her voice being still very important and very relevant till today. I wonder then, what do we do to begin to write back the story, to begin to honor the story of people like Simon Nkuli and the contributions that they made?
Look, I think that the approach that was taken in the show that just ran at the Market Theatre, Nkuli the Vogue Opera, was actually absolutely the right approach, because it actually updated a whole set of cultural symbols, the struggle songs, things like that, which perhaps are not so familiar to younger generations. But actually through the work of artists like, for example, Beyoncé, who has employed the imagery of voguing in her Renaissance tour, you can actually take that now, firstly, of course, to talk about the LGBTQI plus community, but also out into the fashion-conscious, vibe-conscious young people who are interested in history. I think it's a myth that they aren't. But I think a common language has to be established that talks to new generations.
Let's explore that because you wrote about this particular piece. Let's explore that history, Nkuli's history as envisioned by Philip Miller.
Okay, in many ways, what Philip Miller has done, and he has been documenting conscious South African culture in many ways. He's actually looked at the songs of Kaluza. He actually wrote the soundtrack for Catch a Fire, which was a movie about ANC activists and saboteurs. He's had a long connection. In fact, he was also responsible for the soundtrack of the recent Shaka TV series. So he's actually immersed in a lot of what has made South Africa aware of itself as a nation. And he took that and actually now developed a new format, a format that involved voguing, but also if you listen to the score, and bear in mind my expertise is primarily not in history or in theatre, but in music. He created a score which was incredibly rich and dense with allusions to the South African choral tradition, to struggle songs, to the R&B, disco and house music that accompanied voguing, to the South African pop of the late 70s and 80s. So as a score, it's incredibly rich in those allusions, but they're done very subtly. There are moments when you do hear disco music in a club and you want to get up and dance, and there are moments when you hear what you know to be the intro to a well-known struggle song like Yindlela. So there's a lot of weaving there of cultural history and political history together, just as Simon Nkosi believed that you had to weave together the struggle for gender identity and the struggle for South African liberation.
And the weaving speaks to the importance of narrating the story through the arts, but also its ability, but its ability to convey multiple narratives simultaneously.
Oh, certainly that is the case. And I think people coming from different personal histories will grab different things out of it. People who are old struggleistas will obviously identify with the allusions to that era and its sounds and its fashions. People who are involved in today's struggles for gender rights will actually see those foregrounded. And what is lovely for me is, firstly, that none of those take second place to the other. That's the first thing. The second thing is that the narrative of the show, the words, the songs, all emphasize that these things are all about collective struggle. They're not individualistic. They're all about people coming together to overcome prejudices, stereotypes, and forms of oppression.
This project, Auntie Gwen, it's been a labor of love, from what I understand, by Philip Miller for a very long time, because first ideated a little while ago, in fact, if I'm not mistaken, Konje, when was it? Around 2020, if I'm not mistaken?
Look, it's been around in different forms. It started out as a much more modest musical play called Glow, about the gay and lesbian organization of the Witwatersrand. But it has taken on a much more sophisticated identity now, beautiful choreography. Anyone who went to the show will have been blown away by the dancers. A rap narrative by Jaya, who was a rapper that I was unaware of. I didn't know him. He's very much a younger generation thing. But superb words, which actually do say the important things and say them in a poetic and flowing way, as the best rap artists do.
Yeah, it is the voice of Auntie Gwen Ansell joining us in conversation. Let's take a quick break here and then we come back and continue unpacking this incredible legacy.
Ford is turning 100 and there's never been a better time to buy a brand new Ford. We're giving away 100 vouchers worth an amazing 50,000 Rand each and the sensational grand prize of us paying for one lucky winner's Ford. It's the celebration of the century. Visit a Ford dealer, buy a new Ford and win. T&Cs apply.
When business challenges rise, so do we. Because kuningi. Luckily, Bidvest Bank is a bank built out of business. So, customizable services come naturally. And once we get to know you, your ambitions, and the seasons of your business, we can tailor the efficiencies and solutions that help turn your income into the outcome your business needs. Visit bidvestbank.co.za to learn more. Bidvest Bank, banking built for your business. An authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Manene namanenekazi.
Dove is not just gentle and moisturizing.
It took great care of the nation
During the Rugby World Cup France 2023. Dove rocks, just like the box.
Danko Unilever for your remarkable contribution to the momentous journey of global heroes.
Brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Arts, culture, and robust conversations with Bridget Masinga.
We are in conversation with literally the custodian of arts culture, particular to music on this beautiful continent of ours, Auntie Gwen Ansell. She is a writer, a researcher, and associate of the Gordon Institute for Business Science. And she wrote around this incredible offering put together, envisioned by Philip Miller, honoring the life of the Simon Ngoli, who was an activist. He was an activist, a black gay man who lived between 1957 and 1998. And you write the story was personally and politically important to Miller, who knew Ngoli. You go on to say Miller was horrified that someone who had played a vital role in gay rights being enshrined in the South African Constitution, the first African nation to do so, was today so little known. Ngoli also co-founding the Johannesburg Pride and the first Pride March in Africa. And this to me speaks to the production's deliberate focus to honor the legacy, but also to bring out themes and the relevance of this legacy and these themes to a contemporary South Africa.
Yes, that's certainly true. Look, Bridget, I have to say I'm not a custodian. The custodian of South African's culture are the people who make it and the communities that give birth to it. Writers, researchers, journalists like us, we document, but we're not the custodians.
Yeah. I mean, if you say it, Auntie Gwen, but the whole world of South Africans will disagree.
No, our job of documenting is very important, but we aren't the custodians. We don't have rights over it. The people who make it are the people who have the rights over it.
No, I absolutely hear you. Let's speak about the relevance of the themes of this particular production to contemporary South African, because there were different elements to the production.
Yes, look, I think the theme of community, which I've already mentioned, is an absolutely key one. There is sometimes a tendency today to see identity politics as a very individualistic thing and almost a commodity. And one of the beautiful things about the show is the way it explores coming together, the breaking down of prejudices through collective work and debate. And I think, we too often forget the communities and the families that birthed these activists. And I have...
Auntie Gwen? Oh, no, I think we lost Auntie Gwen. I think our signal broke in the middle of her thought, which is a bummer. But we literally have about 3 minutes to go to the bottom of the hour. So by the time we get her back on the line, we would have run out of time. I wonder, though, if this production is on, and I don't have clarity of this information, but I'll find out leading into the break whether or not this production is on for us to go and see, because I do think it's a very important story for us to... I'm just scanning the notes here and I don't seem to see whether or not it is on or it's going to be running at a later stage for those of us who may have missed it. But I'll get the information and I'll definitely bring it to air. Let's wrap it. Oh, she's back. Oh, okay. There we go. Okay, we've got Auntie Gwen back. Sorry about that, Auntie Gwen. Don't know what happened there.
I don't know what happened, but there's thunder and lightning here, and that may have had something to do with it.
Probably. But you were in the middle of your thoughts.
Yes, I was talking about the sad news that Mum Elizabeth Nkodi, Simon's mother, passed away just after the show closed, just at the point when a representative of the cast was due to visit her so that she could actually receive something from the box office of the show. And I think we forget about the communities and the families who make activism possible. It would not be possible without those people who nurtured their children, those communities who saw them grow up. And even if there were difficulties, and the show doesn't gloss over the difficulties of his community and his comrades acknowledging Simon Nkodi's identity, but even through those difficulties, it was the collective support that makes our leaders who they are. And I think also our leaders shouldn't forget that either.
and to that point also, I think the sacrifice that these communities and the loved ones make for the benefit of the greater good is sometimes something that's often missing when we tell these stories.
Yes, and it's one of the strengths of this show, that those difficulties, those awkwardnesses, those disagreements and stereotypes are there alongside the heroism and the shaping of South Africa's current constitutional position on queer rights.
Auntie Gwen, let's leave it there for today. We have to get into the headline news, but hopefully you will allow us one of these days, perhaps in the new year, to steal some time, bring you into the studio, and let's have an even broader conversation around the legacy, particularly of South African music. And I'm sure your calendar is chock-a-blocked, so we will try and get enough lead time in order to get in there and secure you in studio if you're in agreement.
Thank you for thinking of that, Bridget. It's always very difficult in these really short interviews to explore all the angles.
Absolutely.
But it's been lovely talking to you.
Thank you so much. Much appreciated. She is the doyen right there, writer, researcher, and associate of the Gordon Institute for Business Science, the doyen of South African music, a very respected voice within the continent, Gwen Ansel, or as we all like to call her in the industry, Auntie Gwen.
With the headlines at 2:30, I am Dino Mugdaun. Good afternoon. The ANC has joined hands with other political parties and civil society organizations to mark the International Day of Solidarity for Palestinians in Johannesburg today. In other news, Parliament's Police Portfolio Committee has adopted its report on the Independent Police Investigative Directorate Amendment Bill, and the South African Health Professionals supports universal health coverage. However, it says it opposes the NHI bill in its current form. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
Oh man, we said that we'd check on the dates for the show. Unfortunately, it's done, as you heard Auntie Gwen also mentioning there that Simon Nkoli's mom happened to pass away on the final night of the show. Yeah, it wrapped on the 19th of November, but it's a very important story to be told, and hopefully it will find home again on theatre stages next year. It's always nice perhaps when plays come back for a rerun, so that those of us who missed it can watch it all over again. It's 2:30 on the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga, right here on SAFM, leading the conversation. We are shifting, segueing, moving into a conversation that is rather grown and sexy. And we are talking around choosing celibacy in order to improve your relationship. We're going to take a quick break here. And because we're getting into territory that is grown and sexy, just by way of a disclaimer, if you do have a little one within earshot and you're trying to not answer any questions that you're not quite ready to answer at this current moment, perhaps you should, urge them to go play in a different room as we conduct this conversation. But we always endeavor to be as PG and as appropriate as possible on the show. So we don't worry that we are going to offend you, but we do not want to put you in an awkward situation. Let's take a quick break here and welcome our guest.
Beyond the headline on SAFM.
Was there confirmation from him to the HOD that indeed there was 600,000 rand cash that was found in his car?
Indeed, he did confirm. That's the report I got.
Okay, so he says that it is his money.
Yes.
Was there an explanation at least?
I don't think the HOD would have gone to that extent to get an explanation, since that very same explanation was to be given to the South African police. Look, Aldrin, the handbook for chief financial officers is very clear on ethical standards.
That is the MEC for Public Works in the Northern Cape, Fufe Makatong.
Beyond the headline with Aldrin Sampear on SAFM. Weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. Living your best life on the Full Circle.
It is the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga, on SAFM, as we prepare to get into a conversation around all things grown and sexy, choosing celibacy in order to improve your relationship. We've got coming back to studio intimacy coach Bridget Masinga. How are you doing?
Lovely, thanks. And how are you, Bridget?
I'm fantastic.
I'm good, thanks.
So good to have you back. All right, so we're exploring this conversation around celibacy, and people choose to be celibate for a whole variety of reasons. But I see it coming up more and more these days as a way of, well, at least from how I understand it when I see it on social media or people share that they are celibate, it almost seems like it's a mental, psychological health reset for a lot of people. Whereas before I used to see it as like a spiritual connection thing.
Like they're fasting.
Yes.
They need to connect with God more. But most people feel that they want to be celibate because they want to clear their mind, as they feel that maybe sex might distract them in achieving their goals. I mean, I don't know how true this is. I know with soccer players, they would say before a big game,
yes,
they need to abstain from sex so that, I don't know,
yeah,
they've got more energy. I suppose there's an underlying reason
there's
there.
Science.
But for me, I don't see why people need to abstain to go celibate.
I must admit, I've also kind of squinched my eyes at that thought. Because I'm like, okay, what are you decluttering your mind from? In fact, doesn't it create more anxiety and
Because sex is, a sexual reliever. So why would you deprive yourself from something so blessed and so beautiful?
Yeah.
Like, say you're a good person and you've been a virgin for the longest time of your life. Why would you now be married and still want to take the time away? Can't you rather take something away fast on something else rather than sex for that matter?
I guess also even if one is single, I don't know. If you're listening to the conversation, have you ever taken a period of celibacy? What motivated that for you? And after you were done with your period of celibacy, did you see a difference? Whatever the objective was, but did you see the difference that it made to your life? 0614104107. That is our WhatsApp line if you'd like to share your thoughts on that. And then, of course, so there's that one part where people are celibate because they're wanting to declutter, decompress, whatever, maybe focus on other things. And then there's the other part where, pardon me, in the context of a relationship, celibacy, I don't know what it is. Because my brain is trying to wrap itself around into why would a person, what are your clients telling you? Why would couples choose to be celibate?
Some people, it could be maybe for the energies. They just want to clear the energy, to clear that space. But that's also from a spiritual perspective. But I think from the feedback that I've gotten so far when I posted this on my socials, it was mainly people just do it for their selfish reasons. Maybe they're still trying to understand this person, but this goes back to the topic that we once discussed, which was depriving your partner because you've got personal reasons that you want to do it. Because I feel if you're going to be celibate, it must be a mutual decision between you and your partner, and the outcome should be beneficial for the both of you and not just for the one hand.
So now things like 90-day rules, we've seen that getting more and more popular. We've seen the movies.
I mean, that's just as to protect yourself from knowing whether this person is here for sexual reasons or for the long term of it.
So it's okay for us to be celibate at the beginning of the relationship, whether it's 30 days, 60 days, 90 days.
I get maybe there you're just trying to see the intention. Are you here for this or are you here for that? Can you actually stay without it? But I mean, I think, are people still doing that lately?
I don't know. You can see my face is very confused.
It's really a personal choice, but I don't think it works. So most of the people that I've engaged with, I mean, the sooner we get to this, the better, so that I know what I'm getting myself into.
Right?
Because now I wait for this 3 months and I get disappointed when I get to the other end. What happens then?
Because also, I don't know, and if you're listening, I mean, how much importance do you place on physical connection in your relationship? It is one of the love languages, but how much importance do you place on a physical connection in your relationship? And do you think celibacy at the beginning of a relationship is a good thing for you? It helps you better understand your partner. It helps you sort of build a solid foundation for the relationship in its beginning stages? Or do you think that it's vital and important? And I think you can hear from my voice, certainly Khomotso can see my face, you can hear from my voice that I'm very confused about celibacy, and when people say that it creates a deeper connection. Because I feel the same argument can be made about intercourse.
Yeah, because that creates a deeper connection between the couple. So why would you want to detach yourself away from that? But at the beginning of the relationship, I can also understand, because you want to understand the person from a human element, from a mental element, to see if that connection is there. Because then by the time you get to the physical connection, then you're in it for the long run.
Or not.
Or not.
Or not. 0614104107. Let's take a quick break here. Aldrin St. Pierre coming through to let us know what's coming up on Beyond the Headline.
SAFM has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Under the code, we are committed to giving news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that is not harmful, does not amount to hate speech, or contain violence or explicit sex. If you think we are not living up to that code, then you can inform the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Direct any complaints in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. PO Box 142365. Craig Hall 2024. Fax to 011-326-3198 or an email to bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more information, please visit www.bccsa.co.za. Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
The Portfolio Committee on Communications and Digital Technologies invites interested individuals and stakeholders to submit written comments on the SABC bill. The bill seeks to repeal the Broadcasting Act of 1999, to regulate the continued existence of the SABC, to provide for its governance, to amend the ICASA Act of 2000 and the Electronic Communications Act of 2005. For more information, contact the Portfolio Committee on Communications and Digital Technologies by emailing sabcbill@parliament.gov.za. The closing date for the written submissions is Friday, the 15th of December at 4:30 p.m.
Conversations that you connect with and react to. SAFM.
Aldrin St. Pierre, how are you?
How's it?
I'm all right. How are you?
Good.
You're giving me like, even the hey, how's it? Like
what?
I don't know. Like it's I don't know.
What are you talking about?
You're not giving me Aldrin St. Pierre, the journalist.
Of course, you guys are speaking about like
Wits
difficult things, you know. So I just want to focus at the job at hand.
You're giving me Aldrin St. from Ekoneni vibes.
No, because I think there's going to be the transformation later this evening with the lecture.
Oh, okay.
So about bow tie, black tie, like no.
The Aldrin
don't worry. I hope that people are streaming so that they see what happens later on.
Okay.
Yeah, there's going to be a transformation.
I see.
Yeah. Coming up on the show this afternoon, I don't know if you saw that video, the TikTok video of these two learners and another learner, one black and two white learners, and the one calling the black learner an EFFK.
No.
Yeah. So there was this TikTok video that has been going viral now. The boy in the video has now been identified as Erhard Foster, who is from a school in Limpopo, School Ben Foster. So we're speaking to the Department of Education in Limpopo to find out what have they done since this video has now emerged, and also then the EFF, who are actually marching and said that they'll be marching to the school. So one of the stories that we're focusing on today, I don't know how you feel about the use of the phrase K-word and not verbalizing it. Sometimes I feel that we should verbalize it so that people understand what we're speaking about, but then you also get the complaints that goes to the BCCSA because it is considered to be a derogatory term. But anyway, I guess some people know what we're talking about when we say the K word. And then also on the show this afternoon, we look at the application for Sweden to form part of the NATO military alliance. We will be speaking to Brooke Spector, who's an associate editor at the Daily Maverick. The Turkish parliament has said that they will try and fast-track that application from Sweden. And another story that we're looking at this afternoon is the eThekwini municipality, which has launched their festive season campaign. This is now the safety festive season campaign. But the big question for me is, are they ready for the numbers that would ordinarily go for the festive season in eThekwini, and have they dealt with all of the other infrastructure issues and also the cleanliness or lack thereof of the city?
Well, the weird thing is, if you're traveling around eThekwini, particularly Durban, off late, you realize that Durban has been segmented into the tourist areas, which is where Aldrin and them are all going to go.
Like
Umhlanga, pushing up to Loti, that way. Those places are pristine, immaculate, kept top-notch. The rest of Durban, where Durbanites like us would ordinarily go venture and go see, that's where the dilapidated, dirty, untidy...
So why is that decay allowed to happen while you have on the other end Umhlanga being as pristine as it currently is?
I mean, I don't know why it's allowed to happen. I have no idea. I just know that there's a definite washing, but pull the wool over your eyes.
Yeah.
Because tourists will only go where you direct them to go.
That's true.
So they'll see what you want them to see.
That's true.
You know what I mean? And then everyone else has to deal with everything else that
the decay of the city centre. It's terrible, man. It's terrible.
It's really, it's beyond terrible. If you are a Durbanite and you grew up in Durban and you see how the places that we used to frequent as teenagers are now like no-go zones. And you go, but why? I used to spend my Fridays at the workshop, at the Milky Lane. Like it was the spot. Now you can't even go there. It's horrible. Yeah.
But it's your place, so you need to find a solution to this.
There we go.
Yeah.
Aldrin St. Pierre coming through between 3 and 6 o'clock on Beyond the Headline. And then, of course, you can catch him later on live stream if you don't have a ticket. He is going to be on stage for our inaugural lecture with, of course, our keynote speaker, the former Chief Justice, Mogoeng Mogoeng.
Ford is turning 100, and there's never been a better time to buy a brand new Ford. We're giving away 100 vouchers worth an amazing 50,000 Rand each, and the sensational grand prize of us paying for one lucky winner's Ford. It's the celebration of the century. Visit a Ford dealer, buy a new Ford, and win. T&Cs apply.
SV Darmstadt and FC Köln are both faced with the same dilemma. They are navigating a path to relocate from the uncomfortable zone. The Lilies want to impress home fans, but the Billycoats believe they can shine away from home.
This is the Bundesliga. Football as it's meant to be.
Catch the glittering clash between SV Darmstadt and FC Köln this Friday, 1 December at 9:30 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com.
Hashtag We Love It Here.
Brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
You are listening to The Full Circle.
We've got marriage counselor Thabo Maichi also joining us in this conversation on the line. Thabo, let's get straight into it. I'm presuming everything is perfectly well on your end. Let's get straight into, you can hear from my voice, which is celibacy somehow confuses me. Because I get the arguments around why people do it, but I also think the counter argument for intimacy is there and is very prevalent, right?
Hi, Bridget. Yes, it is, and I can really hear from your voice that, this one is showing you flames. But we're going to get there. Look, it just shows exactly the importance of sex and the effectiveness thereof of it, whether you do it in its time or not. Because to be honest with you, when it comes to celibacy, we know that a lot of people only make it about sex for various reasons. But at the end of the day, it is basically just to protect yourself from the soul mating process distractions. Because the moment you put it aside, you saying, look, I need to connect with this person mentally and emotionally before we can do it physically, which proves that it's not necessarily about the purity per se, because we need mental and emotional purity as well when we get into relationships. But at the end of the day, just that the physical part of it, it is more destructive, and some people end up not even getting to the soul mating of the soul. They end up on the physical part only. So it is very important that people understand why they are doing it. It's not just about saying, no, I don't want to do it because I don't know whether you're going to love me, because they can still be that. And then after 3 months, they still become the very same person they were.
Yeah. Sabelo, I just want to jump to you quickly in Kagiso, because you have been waiting for a while. Katlego, Sabelo is disappeared on me. Katlego in Cape Town. You've also been waiting for a while. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. You say are you asking how is celibacy a reliever, or are you telling me that it's a reliever?
No, I'm telling you it's not a reliever. If it's a stress reliever, if it's bad, we'd rather leave it then and go celibate, or go visit some special shops. But no, if it's bad, it's no reliever at all. Celibacy is the way to go.
Celibacy
but
is
I
the way
agree with you, Bridget, that I'm not sure why people do it and say, in healthy relationships and satisfactory relationships, why they would choose to stop. No.
Have you been celibate in the past?
Absolutely not. But sometimes not because I want to do it, because it's just bad. And I don't have time. I'm too old for bad intercourse. I'm not willing to sacrifice myself for nonsense. And I don't mind sleeping by myself. So, no.
Okay.
That's when I'll go celibate.
Thank you so much for the honesty. That was Katlego out in Cape Town. 061-410-4107. That is our WhatsApp line. What do we say about the loneliness element of it, right? And I guess the social isolation of it. Thabo, how do we deal with that?
I guess it's just an issue of mind over matter. You can have it and still be lonely, and you can not be celibate and still be lonely. So it's just about what you focus your mind on. If you want it or if you don't have it, if you become celibate, is it something that you're going to be thinking about every time? Is it something that you say, I'm becoming celibate because I don't have anybody else who to break it, or else you say, I'm doing it for me because I need some form of mental and emotional cleansing, for myself. So I believe that if you put your mind more to it, and now it's no longer a celibacy, it is more like you're just running away from it for whatever reason, and then you're going to be lonely in that part, in that case, because your senses, your physique would want that thing which you're depriving yourself of. So the loneliness part is just an issue of how you position yourself mentally and emotionally.
Surely, Khomotso, there's something to be said about intimacy, because when we talk about celibacy, we instantly start thinking about physical intercourse. But you're an intimacy coach. There's more to intimacy than sexual interaction.
I think the point that the other caller made just now, the other person on the line just made just now, that it's either you're celibate even mentally. It can't just be a physical aspect. If you're gonna want to build the intimacy, how do I put this? You can't separate the two. It's either you celibate mentally and physically. You can't just, if you're doing that, you're detaching yourself even from the intimacy of the relationship.
Okay.
Basically, because then you know that this is what you need to a break from. So you're taking a break from the relationship, the intimacy, be it physical and emotional, and any other form of.
So you're saying, am I understanding you correct? We cannot be intimate just physically in isolation.
It's
the
a whole
other
package.
Forms of connection, emotional connection, also come with it.
Exactly, which is why I wouldn't personally advise it in a couple, in a marriage. Because why would you want to do that when you are together, when you are one? Why would you want to put yourself through that situation? I mean, what do you expect the other partner to do? Unless if you're going to pray somewhere and you're both in accordance and in sync with that for also not such a long time. Because the moment you open that gap, I mean, there's so many things that could go in this.
I hear you, Tabo. Khomotso, alluding to just the religious and spiritual connection of it all. People often put faith as a reason towards celibacy.
Absolutely, and I must say that I totally agree with her. Like I said, we want to do it for different reasons, and one of the major ones could be our faith. And the religious part of it, because we are advised that we need not to fornicate, and if you are in marriage, it's a matter of you and your spouse agreeing on it, and for a certain period of time when you are fasting, right? So you need a reason behind the celibacy. That's why I'm saying there's a lot of people that feel like whenever they're not getting it, they feel like they're celibate, and they are not, because celibacy is a decision that you have to make and say, I'm going to be celibate over this period or for this purpose. And the moment that purpose is served, then you can go back and engage in it, of which it is encouraged so much, not the celibacy part, but the fasting part of it in agreement in a marriage setup. But if you are alone, if you are single and you want to be celibate, have a purpose for it. Why are you being celibate? Are you doing it because you want to connect with and within yourself? You want to be able to think clearly, mentally and emotionally about the person that you want to be with. You want to connect with them at a deeper level rather than just sex. And that will actually give you even the courage to do it for as long as you are doing it for a purpose.
Do we have, is it Lauren out in Bolito?
Hey, Bridget, how are you?
I'm good.
Love this topic. As a woman who is just turned 40 and have gone through it all, I think for me this appreciation of this mental intimacy is so powerful. The latest report in KZN around the HIV stats, we have the highest stats in the country. It came out, I think, this week. And I think what's important is we need to reposition what intimacy looks like beyond physical. And this thing we need to be taught, unfortunately, because we are driven by our emotions. And a guy will tell you, sorry, I'm getting an echo, but a guy will tell you, for you to be close to me, we need to physically connect, and that's not true. So there is a huge unlearning and relearning we need to do as a society if we want to see the curbing of HIV, which is what was mentioned. But I love the notion of mental and spiritual clarity, and I think that is such a powerful way of positioning celibacy. I love it, beyond religion.
Lauren, thank you so much for that. And I think I love what you say about perhaps that we need to reposition what intimacy means and what intimacy looks like. That was Lauren out in Bolito, because we do, I think, when we talk intimacy, we do equate it to just purely sexual exchange. Whereas there's so many more levels to being intimate with somebody. There's a mental connection, a psychological connection. you can be intimate without ever having a touch relationship with someone.
Correct. So if you're going to be saying you're being celibate, what are you just being celibate from the physical act itself? Is that what we're saying? You know, I feel we just need to have mental control of ourselves, that this is the decision that I want to, this is the goal that I want to achieve. And if sex is the distraction, then let me detach myself fully to the relationship. And I feel then that's being selfish when you're in a relationship with someone. Then don't get into it. If
Khomotso is about the extremes, I tell you. She's like, you cannot be celibate while in a relationship.
Kanjani.
I keep hearing her saying, Uti, clearly you just want to break up with this person. On that note, guys, Tabo, thank you so much for the time. Khomotso, thank you for coming through. We have to leave it there for this afternoon. We will see you tonight. If you happen to be quick on your feet and reserve your seat for the inaugural lecture with former Chief Justice Mogoeng. I think we can forever call them Chief Justices. He is going to be our keynote speaker today. And of course, we all are going to be in attendance. Aldrin St. Pierre adorning that tuxedo, as he said, and facilitating tonight's proceedings. If you aren't in the room with us, you can definitely catch the live stream via all of our social media platforms. At SAFM Radio is where you can find us. From myself and my team, thank you for indulging us in conversation today. Inshallah, God willing, we get to do it again.
SAFM invites you to tune in for our inaugural public lecture, delivered by the former Chief Justice Mogoeng.
This is an opportunity to use this privilege for the advancement of the cause of justice, because there is so much more that still needs to be done out there.
The theme for the lecture is Constitutionalism and Upholding the Rule of Law in South Africa, as corruption and malfeasance eroded the moral fabric of the democratic disposition. The lecture will take place on the 29th of November 2023, broadcasted live on SAFM 104 to 107 FM, streaming on Facebook, X and YouTube channels from 7 p.m. SAFM, leading the conversation. SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide, leading the conversation. Independent and impartial. This is SAFM News.
Top stories: International Day of Solidarity for Palestinians commemorated, and Parliament adopts report on the IPID Amendment Bill. Good afternoon. With the news, I am Dino Matau. The ANC has joined hands with other political parties and civil society organizations to mark the International Day of Solidarity for Palestinians in Johannesburg today. The organizations marched from the Mary Fitzgerald Square to the Nelson Mandela Bridge, several kilometers